Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Marone with Automated Sales Prospecting, and I'm creating this video to give an overview of what automated sales prospecting is and how it works. And I'll first start off by telling you that automated sales prospecting, or ASP as we call it internally, is a program that we created to help B2B technology companies to increase their prospecting effectiveness and drive business-focused conversations with their target market. And to really understand automated sales prospecting, I think providing you a quick explanation of the history behind it before getting into the specifics of how it works is probably the best way for you to understand why this program works and if it's something you'd like to use, or at least use the approaches behind it to grow your business. But if you'd like to skip to the actual how it works section, please feel free to do so. Okay. So, first thing I'll say is everybody and everything that is involved with automated sales prospecting is a part of our parent company, which is World Leaders Sales and Marketing Advisory. And like I said, World Leaders is a sales and marketing advisory that specializes in working with B2B technology companies. So, mostly working with IT organizations, software companies, professional service companies, manufacturers, and we really work with them through their entire sales approach. And this includes sales methodology and processes, from pre-prospecting processes all the way up to closing and account management. It includes dedicated recruiting services to attract and hire top sales candidates for our customers. It includes particular areas of sales and marketing training, evaluation services, many different things to help B2B companies to own a bigger share of their marketplace. So we've been around, we've seen quite a bit, and ever since the beginning of our company, really since the beginning of any company, our customers and prospects have wanted salespeople that would serve on their front lines and win net new business and accounts for organization. They want prospectors and hunters. And we've recruited to this spec a lot. It's a high demand spec, and we've recruited to it a lot. And we noticed a couple of things. So the first thing being, yes, there are still true hunters out there, but they are getting rarer and rarer. Um, the true hunters and the accomplished ones are very good at what they do, but typically they are people that are looking for well over six figures and just a base salary plus plus commissions, and they tend to jump around companies quite a bit, and they're usually pretty hard to nail down and attract. And the second observation we have is that most mid-sized tech companies and B2B companies don't want to take a risk on somebody that is that expensive and has that tendency to jump around so much. So they decide to hire someone a little bit more unproven, whether that be a young person that they want to train to be a hunter, or an experienced sales rep that they want to try to get to do more dedicated prospecting, and they give it a shot. And most of the time, and I'll say most of the time, meaning probably 90% of the time, it doesn't work out the way they planned. That person will typically burn out within a year, not really produce, and kind of blame it on market conditions. Sometimes you'll find that they'll get a few low-hanging fruits, but they haven't really penetrated the market, and they haven't done any true incremental growth for your company. Or sometimes you'll find that they succeed and want a big raise, move into a sales management position, and that's really because they don't want to prospect anymore. So my third observation being, with that being said, the ones that do succeed, the few that do succeed in prospecting, typically don't succeed on their own. They have to follow a prospecting process that isn't always easy to execute. And we have a process that we teach, and that our approach is framed after. And there are other consulting companies out there with their own approaches. But either way, typically a successful prospector is following one of these approaches, is getting internal support and a lot of training from their organization. And no prospector is self-made. It requires a lot of organizational support to bring this to fruition. So I'll just kind of summarize the years by saying that we've recruited to the specification a lot, and then COVID hits, and there are layoffs, and salespeople are the ones taking the hit. Companies were telling us that their salespeople weren't generating enough revenue to keep them employed. Nobody was responding to their outreach activity, and there was no traction within their prospective accounts, and the salespeople were taking a hit to their morale. So many got laid off. And this is a big problem if you think about it, because you can't climb out of a revenue sink by laying off people that are supposed to produce that revenue. But companies had no choice. So this is where automated sales prospecting comes into play. So right around that time, we sat back and said, okay, there's got to be something that we can do to help companies generate real leads and opportunities without bringing on new headcount. So naturally, we looked deeply into automation, and we looked into our own research and methodologies around what was working, and we decided, hey, we can really create an offering here. And I'll call it a total campaign management approach that focuses on fully automating your organization's outreach to your target market. So we found a way to replicate what a successful hunter does without any of the process hiccups, without the rejection side effects, without the base salary and commission. And we were able to do this at about a third of the cost of a successful prospector. So now I'll get into the how it works specification, but I just wanted to make sure that you grasp that this isn't just a shot in the dark. Automated sales prospecting isn't just the next new prospecting thing that we're trying. This is built from a methodology and years of research of what works, and then looking for the best tools out there to really be able to get in front of, identify, and converse with their target market. So I won't keep you any further with the backstory. Let's get going on how automated sales prospecting actually works. So if we take a look at this graphic, and we start at the inside of the wheel at process part number 1. This is host strategy session for offer selection, targeting criteria, message positioning, and conversion planning. This part is absolutely key and is typically where any given prospecting campaign, whether it be an automated one or one run by humans, this is where it typically either succeeds or falls apart. And in this session, this is where our companies will come together, usually through a Zoom conference, and fill out this strategy document that we created that's really going to provide some key insights in terms of what product or service is this campaign for? How does this offering help or affect your target market? Who is your target market? What is? We'll be going through the entire foundations of what this campaign will be. And we'll be talking about all different facets of the approach we will co-develop together and begin establishing a project timeline. So this is going to be usually a 2 to 3 hour conversation. It might take a few iterations, but we'll get a good plan together. And after that meeting, we'll move to numbers 2 and 3 here, which are performed simultaneously. Number 2 says source and build a list of total addressable campaign market through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So taking what we uncover in the strategy session about who you're targeting, we'll now move to taking the targeting criteria and search for the real decision makers of the companies that you want to be working with. We'll build a list of about 1,400 of them for a given quarter. And as this is happening, as we're sourcing through and picking these people out, you'll be working with our messaging team on creating the actual messages that will be administered to your target market throughout the campaign. You may have read in our website already that there's about 25 touches or communications that will be administered on your behalf to your prospects. So during this stage, the messaging team will guide you on building good educational messages and recommendations to get your target market to engage in a conversation with you. And I'll stop right here for a second and say, between process parts number 2 and 3, we are answering the questions of who are we targeting and what are we saying to them. And these are very critical and part of a consultative discussion that we'll be building together and using for your success. So let's move into part number 4. Acquire email, phone, and physical address information on selected campaign targets. So after we come back to you with a list of people that is going to be a part of your total addressable market, we'll select that down into those that we want to target, and we'll source all of the necessary contact information needed to reach them up to 25 times. So again, this is phone number, email, LinkedIn, physical address. We'll get everything needed to reach out to them. And then parts 5 and 6 here are also launched simultaneously. And these are the automated email sequence and automated LinkedIn connection and messaging sequence. Once we have all of the messages developed and all of the recommendations developed for your campaign and all of the targets selected, we will go ahead and plug them into our cold email tool and our LinkedIn automation tool to continuously send to your prospects throughout the quarter. The approach that we are recommending is about 10 LinkedIn contacts throughout a quarter, ran in parallel with 12 email messages. And this is where you'll see a lot of activity, and there's going to be many communications sent out and received through these channels, and the replies will be driven directly to your inbox. So you have LinkedIn connections and messages to those that connected being sent out alongside emails being sent out. And parts 7 and 8 are also done simultaneously. And this is the next wave of activity for getting your prospects' attention. And they are the direct mailers and live phone calls. So through the email series, LinkedIn series, and activity on your website, we'll be tracking your prospects' activity to determine who your top engagers are, who are the biggest fans of the recommendations and guidance that you're sending. And twice a month, the top engagers of your campaign are called by one of our human callers on your behalf and are sent a piece of direct mail or a letter to get them to further recognize who you are and how you can help. And then part 9 here is our final part, and it is our biweekly reporting system that we created, which will send you a report every other week with the exact information on how each prospect is responding on each of the channels we are contacting them through and what the status of each lead is. You'll have a coaching session with one of our consultants on specific next steps and actions to take with each prospect and continuously optimize for success. And the idea is to run this entire wheel for a quarter. And at the end of the quarter, we'll decide to do one of 3 things based on the level of success that was achieved. And it's always going to come down to one of these 3 things. So part 1 could be, hey, this was a really good campaign. Let's keep penetrating more organizations with the same message, and we'll load up more data into this campaign so we can prospect further. Number 2 might be, this is definitely the right market. We want to change up the message now. So we'll be changing up the messaging and recommendations so we can promote something different to the same people that we've been targeting. And this is something that some of our customers that have a smaller market size, a more specific market, this is a really good thing for them, so they can still continue to get the traction and activity within these accounts without just burning them out over the same message every time. Then option number 3 is really, let's take a look at the market conditions and the pestle indicators to decide, should we change up this entire offering? Should we go after a new market? Sometimes it doesn't always come down to sales activity. There's market things that we want to pay attention to. And if we want to target somebody else with a different message, different offering, we can do that and build that whole approach out again. So if we take a look around this wheel, what you're looking at here is the job of a hunting salesperson. This is what they should be doing on a daily basis to bring in more leads and grow your organization. And between our automation and campaign management services, we will create a virtual prospecting program for you that runs without having to hire any in-house resources. So typically, when we start going through this wheel, our customers have many different questions that arise, and we'd love to answer them all for you. So please, if you have questions or would like to talk about this program further, please reach out to me at the email in the description, and we'll get this whole automation planned out for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, don't hire what should be automated. Thank you.